Man, it is on now. Joe Biden has just come out and they have threatened Kamala Harris, Scamala Harris, to expose her if she even remotely tries to distance herself from Joe Biden. Y'all are not going to believe this story as it unfolds. We all knew the BS. We knew that they were propping up this woman. We knew that she was unqualified. But remember what happened? Anytime we said it, we were attacked. Some people were called racist. People were called misogynist. People were called all types of names, fascists, Nazis, all because we spoke truth to power. We saw what the Democrats were doing and we didn't go for it. So in this video, I'm going to share with you what's going on and just how there is no way the Democrat Party can ever recover from this, especially with the explosive new information that's come out about Joe Biden and Kamala Scamala Harris's relationship. Sleepy, creepy, piss pants Joe is not playing. And that old man is not going to allow this fake black woman who says she cooked greens in the bathtub, which is a lie, to even try to slither her way out of accepting the blame of what went on. And Joe Biden is so delusional. Do y'all know that this man really believes that he did one heck of a job? He thinks that his time as the president was one of the best in history. That's because he had that small group of aides that was there and were unwilling to tell the emperor that he didn't have on any clothes. So let's get off into it. Now, this is the article. Biden allies threatening to reveal embarrassing Kamala stories. They say it'll be something like Palin-esque. Remember when Sarah Palin was coming out with John McCain and she was going to run with him? And man, the news story just obliterated this woman. When she said silly stuff like she could see Russia from Alaska and just weird things, they destroyed her. They say the stories about Scamala Harris are worse. Because let's just be real. The only reason Sleepy, creepy, piss pants Joe selected her is because the Black Caucus and the Democrat Party and those extremist progressive liberals threatened Joe Biden. They said, Joe, if you don't put a black woman on your ticket, you will lose all support. Now, there were so many women, black women, who were far more qualified than Scamala Harris. But the powers that be wanted Scamala Harris. Now, why do you think that is? Leave it in the comments. Why do you think they wanted Scamala Harris, even though there were far more intelligent and effective black women on the Democrat side? And ding, 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 if you guessed, it's because she was easier to control. She's got so much dirt on her that she was the easiest to control. So let's roll up into it. Now, let's take a trip down memory lane before I come back to this article. Let's take a trip back, because if we paid attention, Joe Biden was revealing to us just how ineffective she was. And this was even before she was on his ticket. Let's take a look when he called her out and pay attention to her face as he was exposing her in real time. Check this out.
I want to give you a chance to respond to what Senator Harris just said.
When Senator Harris was the Attorney General for 8 years in the state of California, there were two of the most segregated school districts in the country, in Los Angeles and in San Francisco. And she did not, I didn't see a single solitary time she brought a case against them to desegregate them. Secondly, she also was in a situation where she had a police department when she was there that in fact was abusing people's rights. And the fact was that she in fact was told by her own people, that her own staff, that she should do something about and disclose to defense attorneys like me that you, in fact, have been, the police officer did something that did not give you information that would exculpate your client. She didn't do that. She never did it. And so what happened? Along came a federal judge and said, enough, and he freed 1,000 of these people. If you doubt me, Google 1,000 prisoners freed, Kamala Harris.
Thank you, Vice President Biden.
Now, if you pay attention, you can even see the cracks in Joe Biden in, but nobody will convince me that this Joe Biden is the same as this Joe Biden just a couple short years later. I'm sorry, nobody can convince me of that, especially knowing now that he had body doubles. And do you know, when it comes to body doubles, they go as extreme as to have voice boxes installed in the individual's throat to make sure that they not just look like the individual, but they sound like them too. Like AI, now that AI is out in the public, we all must know that AI has been being used for years, especially by the military. Anytime they present a new technology to the public, it's something that they've used for years in private. Now, let's go to this next one. Now, this one is even more recent. This is when Kamala Harris was running for president against Trump. And she was giving off some signs like she was about to try to separate herself. As a matter of fact, on this particular clip I'm about to show you, Joe Biden gave her the ultimate disrespect on a national stage where even the host, the CNN host, brought it up. Check this out.
I do have a note, and I'm curious what you think about this. We were actually about to go live to Vice President Kamala Harris, who's speaking right now in Detroit, Michigan. And apparently she's talking about this port strike ending. She's trying to appeal to union workers. And yet you have the president of the United States come out clearly overshadowing her, answering significant questions. Is that a communications mistake? Is the left hand not talking to the right hand in this situation?
That's a very good point. And if they were coordinated, as you assume they would be, this would not have happened.
I do have.
If you're enjoying this video, do me a solid, hit that thumbs up, because I will never ask you for a cash app or a super chat, but you hitting that like button, it really helps get the information out. And if you aren't subscribed to the channel, subscribe. And then once you do, whether you're subscribed already or just subscribing right now, make sure that you hit the notification bell and then you select all, because YouTube has been having issues with getting the notifications out. But when you hit the notification bell and you select all, YouTube will make sure you get notified the next time I upload a new video. Now, in that clip that we just saw, where they were going in and they were about to show Kamala Harris in Detroit, Joe Biden pops up. And let me show you what he actually said on the clip that they're talking about, which totally showed her up. And while she was trying to communicate to union workers, Joe Biden came out and made comments to totally destroy that. Here's what he actually interrupted her news conference and actually said. Check this clip out.
There have obviously been a number of crises that the country has been facing over the past several days, with the hurricane, with the port strike, with the situation in the Middle East. Can you talk about how your vice president, who is running for the presidency, has worked on these crises and what role she has played over the past several days?
Well, I'm in constant contact with her. She's aware we're singing from the same song sheet. She helped pass all the laws that are being employed now. She was a major player in everything we've done, including passage of legislation which we were told we could never pass. And so she's been, and her staff is interlocked with mine in terms of all the things we're doing.
Now, that's Joe's slick way of see. The old man was losing his mind, but at the same time, he still was dark and ugly on the inside. Look at that smug look on his face. And again, look at that, Joe Biden. And think about the clip that we just saw with him during the debate in 2020. Even the head shape is totally different. And the dimple, deep dimple in the chin. I'm sorry. Call me a conspiracy theorist on this one, but I'm just not buying it. Now, you know, even with all of that going, remember now, President Trump even reminded her, not just on how she is, but how she did Joe Biden. Check this clip out.
We're playing with World War III, and we have a president that we don't even know if he's. Where is our president? We don't even know if he's a president.
And just to clarify
they threw him out of a campaign like a dog. We don't even know. Is he our president? But we have a president,
Mr. President,
that doesn't know he's alive.
Man, Joe Trump is hilarious. So, but we know that now to be the truth. And look at Kamala Harris's face. And do you know that during her whole campaign, did y'all know that Steven Spielberg literally was the director of her campaign? I'm not exaggerating. They called in Hollywood producers, directors. They pulled out the big guns, spent $2.5 billion. They loved to only talk about the $1.5 billion that she raised in campaign donations, which a huge bulk of that came from Joe Biden. But another $1 billion in super PAC money that they don't like to talk about. This woman's campaign blew through $2.5 billion. Now we're finding out that people were getting paid outrageous amounts of money. Celebrities were getting paid. We know that, but now everybody's acting like, oh, I don't know. I didn't know. Mine was for advertising and mine was for this. And Oprah saying, I didn't get $1. My production. You owned a production company that got $2 million. Oh, Beyonce only got $100,000. Yeah, right. Beyonce not getting out of bed for less than $5 million. to get involved in politics and take this type of beating. But let's get back to this article. Biden allies reveal to threatening to reveal embarrassing Kamala stories, journalists. Now let's hear this.
Kamala Harris going after Biden.
All right, I'm going to break a little news here. Okay, we talk all the time about, what did Kamala Harris know and when did she know it about his cognitive decline? I will tell you, and this has never been reported barely at all. If the Biden people decide that Kamala Harris is coming after Joe Biden, wait till you hear the Palin-esque stories about how much they tried to help her be prepared to be vice president and be in a position to run, and how much they decided not happening. She's not up to this. And if the Biden people feel threatened, you will hear stories about Kamala Harris as vice president that will not make her look good. Okay, so there's a closeness to the couples. It's not like they're at war currently, but I'm telling you, if Joe Biden feels threatened, if his people feel threatened by her, this is going to escalate in a big way, and she will have a hard time defending against the stories if that dam bursts. They were extraordinary in trying to help her do the job of vice president. They gave her every opportunity, and they found in some instances that she had some issues. Okay, moving forward.
And that is reporting, not Spidey sense, right?
That is reporting. That is not Spidey sense. If I ever get around to doing a book about 2024, you'll read a lot of.
And what's crazy is they tried to sell this woman to us, y'all. That's just insane. That's crazy. And they knew all of this stuff. So let's get into this article. It says, allies of Joe Biden will leak unflattering Palin-esque stories about Kamala Harris' tenure as vice president if she discusses his cognitive decline, according to a journalist. Mark Halperin, a veteran political reporter who founded the digital news network Two Way, broke the news Friday during the Friday episode of his show, The Morning Meeting. I will tell you, and this has never been reported, barely at all, he began. If the Biden people decide that Kamala is coming after Joe Biden, wait till you hear the Palin-esque stories about how much they tried to help her be prepared to be vice president and be in a position to run, and how much they decided not happening. She's not up to this. So we got Joe Biden, who was in office, who we now know had no mental stamina, was mentally declining, had prostate cancer, wasn't all the way there, wasn't making decisions. People were using the auto pen, and he didn't have any idea what's going on. As a matter of fact, they were telling him that everything was great. And then now we had Kamala Harris, who the Democrats propped up and tried to pass on to us as some type of great leader, and how she was really doing great things in California, when all she did was lock up people for weed while she bragged about smoking it. All she did was sleep with powerful men like Montel Williams and Willie Brown. Willie Brown put her into two positions that paid her $400,000 a year without her having to show up. There's no telling what she did to become senator. And listen, I'm not saying that women sleep their way to the top at all. I think most women work hard. They do everything they have to do to put themselves in those positions. I'm going off facts of Kamala Harris's story. This is specific to her, not an attack on women. She literally slept her way to the top, even when she married Dougie Doug. Doug Emhoff, the woman beater. She plugged in with Doug. Why? Moolah. Doug got the money. Have you ever seen those two together or interact where you just said, that's true love? No, Kamala Harris is an opportunist. But let me get back to this article. Former Alaska Governor Sarah Palin was late Senator John McCain's running mate during his bid for the presidency in 2008. After McCain lost to Barack Obama, Palin was hit with a barrage of stories sourced from within her own campaign, suggesting that she was unfit to be vice president, including that she didn't know Africa was a continent. Halperin said that the stories about Harris would only go public if she turns on Biden, as she hits the media circuit in promotion of her 2024 campaign chronicling new book, 107 Days. Oh my God. This woman is putting out a book sharing her experiences on that tumultuous 107 days. And you got some people saying, oh, she needed more time. No, she did not. That 107 days was her best shot because it was small, it was compact. They tried to, they did a good job of trying to polish the turd off, But guess what? She was so bad that even in layup interviews and softball interviews and gimme situations, the gimme situations where they're giving her the baton, she screwed up and dropped the ball. It's not like they're at war currently, but I'm telling you, if Joe Biden feels threatened, if his people feel threatened by her, this is going to escalate in a big way, Halperin said. Halperin added that Biden's team was extraordinary in trying to help her do the job of vice president. They gave her every opportunity, and they found in some instances that she had some issues. So she wasn't even doing her job. So we got a president and a VP that we now know neither were capable of doing their job. And is that surprising? When we got all the way up to a 9.2 inflation, we had 20 million reports now coming in that we have something like 23 million illegal immigrants that stormed into our country. Prices increased by 60% in some instances. Crime went berserk. Cities were destroyed. Other cities were created and made drug-free zones. Then we got transgender sanctuary cities. Then we got illegal immigrants, sanctuary cities. And a sanctuary city is nothing more than a safe haven for criminals. Literally, that's why it's sanctuary city. So if you break that specific crime, you can come there and you're good to go. It's like in Minnesota. If your child is 14 or 15, 13, go to Minnesota and say they want a gender change, they want to be mutilated, and the parent goes to Minnesota and tries to take their child back, the parent will be arrested for kidnapping. The parent will be arrested for kidnapping. In California, they have the 10-year gap law, where if you're a 24-year-old individual and you want to have intercourse with a underage person that's 13, that's 14 or 15, you're 24, the individual's 24, and you want to be with a 14, 15, or a 16-year-old, it is legal in California if the child gives consent. Look it up. It's the 10-year age gap law. They're protecting PDF files. This is what Democrats do. They're about taking the lives of unborn children. They're about protecting transgenders and illegal immigrants. And they're about mutilation of bodies for children. Not my words, theirs. Look at those two, fakely after she lost. Harris has stayed out of the spotlight since losing the 2024 presidential election to Donald Trump in November. The title of her book references the shortened campaign timeline she had after Biden dropped out as the Democratic nominee. The development has sparked speculation about Harris's political future, though she also announced this week that she will not run for governor of California in 2026. Biden, who dropped out of the 2024 race after a disastrous debate showing against Trump, has been blamed by some Democrats for leaving so little time for Harris to mount an effective campaign. Biden has also faced reports that he suffered cognitive decline while in office and that this was concealed by his inner circle of family members and aides. The book Original Sin, released in May by journalists Jake Tapper and Alex Thompson, contained a number of embarrassing revelations, including that Biden's aides molded getting him a wheelchair and that he was unable to recognize actor George Clooney, who was a longtime acquaintance. Biden is currently the target of a Republican-led congressional investigation into whether he was the one making decisions during his presidency. Biden has strongly maintained that he called the shots, which we know is a lie. In 2017, Halperin was fired from his job as an NBC analyst after at least 12 women accused him of sexual harassment while he was working at ABC News in the in the 1990s and 2000. The allegations included that he had forcibly pressed his male body parts against multiple women and propositioned others for sex. Despite facing widespread condemnation, Halperin was able to stage a career comeback in 2019 and has subsequently landed a book deal and launched a news network. Now, this was written by Liam Archaki. I'm willing to guarantee you that that was a little bit of a hit that he took on Halperin. The article had nothing to do with him. So he kind of, I think, wanted to mess with his credibility a little bit. But what do you think about this? That so-called beautiful bromance or romance, whatever, politorance that Biden and Scammler had, we knew it was fake. We knew those two didn't get along, especially after the way they went at each other during those debates. And Joe Biden was forced to pick her. He didn't even want her. And then when she was running, everybody thought she was going to pick the governor of Pennsylvania, Shapiro, but no, she went with Tim Walz, Tampon Tim. And it was over. It was already hanging by a thread with her. And you know, people were saying, oh, Lord, I don't want to be on the ticket with this woman. And a lot of people rejected and moved away from it. But Tampon Tim, with his wavy handy, no man waves like this, ladies. A man don't wave like that, okay? Unless he's a little bit on the, you know, more in touch with his feminine side. And fellas, y'all know what I'm talking about. But the gloves are off. When I tell y'all, man, never in my life would I have thought that the Democrat facade, the Democrat charade would be exposed in such a compact yet express fashion. I mean, it's coming out left and right because people no longer fear them. They know the money's dried up. They know that they've been weakened. Their leader, Barack Obama, has been exposed. Hillary Clinton exposed. These people no longer have political leverage. So all of those people they trampled on, all those people they intimidated, all those people they put fear in, not to mention the many, many, many lives that have been lost in connection with these people, from chefs to Vince Foster at the White House, to business partners with Whitewater and the Clintons, to Obama and the sexual gay allegations from the individual with the last name Young. And I'm going to do a video on that. Matter of fact, let me get you the names of the individuals that had came out and exposed by Obama that they actually had an affair with Obama. And this man came out publicly on TV. No alleged. Larry Sinclair was the individual's name. Look it up. Larry Sinclair came out in like 2007 and outed Obama. Said they met up in the limo, got down on some of that booger sugar, and did the Watusi. So, you know, the Democrat Party is in the dumps, and I'm here for it. And the whole time they keep projecting on the MAGA like, oh, MAGA's upset with Trump. Oh, MAGA's concerned about Epstein. Oh, everything they try to say we are is what they are, because we over here living our best lives. We're working. We're being productive. We're watching what's going on. But we're doing our part to make this country great. While the Democrats sit and pout and stump their feet and say Trump bad while adding no value. It's only a couple of them that have sense. John Fetterman, who had a stroke and was seeming like he was the most loony one, but he's actually the one making the most sense. He's willing to say, yo, that was a good move by Trump, which is why his voters in Pennsylvania trust him. He'll be reelected. And they're going to try to primary the crap out of Fetterman. You already know. But his constituents realize he's willing to recognize goodness when it's good and willing to chastise badness when it's bad. That's what we want to see in our politicians and our leaders. Not this, even when something is great, you still going to call it bad just for the sake of bad. But then when you do bad, y'all going to try to cover it up and justify it as good. They're not talking out against this Biden thing. They're not talking out about this Kamala thing. They're not talking out about this Pelosi stock trading issue. They're not coming out talking about the Democrat Congress member whose aide had sex with a man in his office. They're not talking about any of that in the Capitol. You might not have even known that happened. So I'm here for it. So if you hung in there with me to this point, thank you so much. I appreciate you from the top and bottom of my heart. If you haven't already, hit that like button. And if you aren't subscribed to the channel, subscribe. Most importantly, I want you to stay safe and you be great. I'm Brian Maxwell saying I look forward to seeing you at the top. Over and out, y'all.